It's been already a year since Marvel Rivals released, and there's a lot to talk about. But for those two people who don't know what Marvel Rivals is, I'm about to explain it to you. Marvel Rivals is a multiplayer third-person hero shooter where you can play as some of the most popular Marvel heroes, which in simpler terms means I'm about to get a lot of hate for this one. It's similar to Overwatch 2, but with Spider-Man. The objective is to beat the enemy team on numerous game modes, and your personal objective is not to beat the other team so hard they go triple support on the next round. Also, not to piss off your own team, so someone decides to go Black Widow and tanks the game with a score of 0 and 10. When it came out, Rivals exploded in popularity, but ever since then it seems like it's fallen off a cliff. So why did this happen? Why did the game that brought so many players in lose at least 50% of its player base, if not more? There are some small issues and a few big ones that are still not fixed to this day. But before that, I just want to say, for every problem that I mention, I'm gonna at least try to offer some kind of solution so it doesn't seem like I'm dunking on the game for the rest of this video. But with that being said, I don't know about you, but I actually like playing with friends. That's why I played Valorant, GTA 5 or Overwatch mostly with friends. And when Rivals came out, I quickly realized that some of my friends cannot run the game. Not to mention that right now the install size of the game is 105 gigabytes, which puts it at the same level as something like GTA 5 or even COD. I'm sure there are a lot of people who want to play Marvel Rivals or at least try it, but they simply can't because they have to sell their kidneys just to afford a graphics card and a fast SSD to play this game. But that's only a small issue. Oh boy, probably the biggest problem in Marvel Rivals right now is the ranked system. Naturally, with all of these hero shooter and shooter type games, they're kind of competitive and a lot of people naturally gravitate towards ranked. Well, in every other game that has a ranked system in it, the ranked graph looks something like this. Each bar correlates with how many players are in the certain rank. As you can see, there is a peak in the middle and then a subtle drop off at the end. There are less and less players the higher the rank goes, which is logical. The higher the skill after the peak, the less players there are. And then there is Marvel Rivals, which, oh my god, looks like a very weird roller coaster with a sudden drop-off. This is basically, you can ignore Bronze 3, this is basically players that went into the game once and quit, which is unfortunately a lot of people. But then you see something interesting. There are more players in Grandmaster 3 than there are in Platinum 3. Also, even more worryingly, there are more players in Eternity, the second highest rank in the game, than there are in a rank below that, Celestial 1. How is this possible? Well, one of the reasons this is possible is the game rewards you with points based on your personal performance and whether you win or not. So let's say, for example, you performed very well, you maybe got even an MVP, and you won the game will naturally reward you more than the usual amount of points. Same with the other way around. If you play bad and you lose, you're gonna lose more points than you would usually lose. But then if you actually played the game and played in any of these higher ranks, you start to realize that there are people that shouldn't be in there, usually in your team, but generally, whether you can judge them by their character pick or the way that they're behaving, they're simply not supposed to be in that rank. The reason why that's possible is the game has a weird system, which I honestly even don't know how it works, where the longer you play the game, the higher your rank would be. And it's not related to your skill, it's just the longer you play. That's why you have players that seemingly don't belong in your rank game, and you lose partly because of them. And you go in their profile and you see that they have a 35% win rate across the season, and they're in GM2. Another point I briefly want to touch on is the banning system. Currently there are 4 ban slots, which means 2 per team, which would logically mean out of the 44 characters in the game, 4 will be banned every game, right? Absolutely not. For some reason, Rivals decided that it's best if each team bans simultaneously, which means technically, if you're looking at the meta, the same characters are gonna be banned across the board, which results in only 3 or even 2 characters being banned every game. And that's not a scenario that happens sometimes. No, that happens almost always. And the solution for that problem they already have. They implemented it into MRC, the Pro League, where you have more ban slots, a protect slot, and each team bans 1 by 1. Also, you're only banning for the other team, so that means you can still use those characters. That to me is a lot better than what we have right now. You can lose the protect slot if you want, but keep the same number of bans and the system of banning. But speaking of Pro League, did you know that Marvel Rivals has a Pro League? Yeah, didn't think so. Marvel Rivals held their $3 million tournament, I believe a few months ago. Nobody even seemed to notice. Quick correction, I am currently editing this video and I just realized that the last big tournament was about 2 weeks ago, which I did not know of, and that kind of proves my point. But anyways, back to the video. I'm not gonna go in full detail about the Pro League because I think this is a small issue. It's kind of bad to watch. There is not really a problem with the cast or the way the MRC is formatted. It's just the way they are marketed or the lack of marketing. You just held $3 million tournament. I believe not even half of your player base knows about it. You didn't market it enough. You didn't create any storylines. Pros, honestly, none of them feel interesting to watch. Whoever toggles the POV on the actual stream needs to be fired. For some reason he thinks we all have TikTok brains, so he has to switch the POV every 3 seconds. Sometimes whoever operates it locks to someone for 30 seconds thinking they're gonna do something and they end up not doing anything, just shooting basic attacks for 30 seconds. So next problem. Each character in hero shooters should have a balance between pros and cons, something they do great and something they do bad. Let's take a look at good character design from other hero shooters. We're gonna look at the Heavy from Team Fortress 2. He has a big minigun that does a lot of damage and puts out a lot of bullets, and he has a lot of health. But the downsides of that being, he has a very gigantic hitbox, he is slow, he's easy to hit, and his gun takes ages to reload. In the Marvel Rivals, you have characters like Emma Frost, who has very good mid-range damage, very good close-range damage, a deployable 400 HP shield, base health of 650 HP, a different form which makes her unstoppable, which means they cannot be stunned, and in that same form she has a stun, which cannot be stopped. And the downsides... there are no downsides. This is a very clear case of bad character design. The character has almost everything in the game that's good and almost nothing that's bad, which of course makes it overpowered. Now, the way the Marvel Rivals devs deal with that issue is tweaking the numbers. But problem with Emma Frost in particular, you can tweak her numbers all you want. The sheer presence of that character in the match makes the other team play much different. That simply shouldn't be the case. You cannot have a character in the game simply by existing, altering the way other people play. So the solution that they really don't want to do, but I think they should do, is remove something from her kit. Whether it would be the damage boost on her crystal, whether it would be the shield that she has. She shouldn't have everything at her disposal. You cannot simply tweak the numbers. If you lower the numbers by a lot, no one is gonna play her. And if you tweak the numbers a little bit, she's still gonna be overpowered, simply by having everything that she has in her kit. The triple support meta. The biggest reason why a lot of people left Marvel Rivals, me included. I haven't touched the game in like a month and a half before I came back. And guess what was my last game that decided everything? Against a triple support comp. Triple support basically means that out of the 6 players that are in the team, 3 of them go some sort of a support. Usually, and most annoyingly, there are gonna be 2 main supports and 1 off healer / a character that can do lower healing but amplify damage or do more damage and stuff like that. The reason why that is so annoying is that nothing dies. You gotta remember, you're playing a hero shooter. When you shoot shoot at someone as a DPS player, as a tank player, it doesn't matter. If you shoot at someone, you expect that their health bar goes down, which is simply not the case in this game. 90% of the time for tanks and DPS players playing against a good triple support comp, it feels like you're basically shooting at a wall. Nothing happens. The game comes to a standstill where nothing dies for minutes at a time. It very much resembles the GOATS meta of Overwatch. The reason why triple support made a lot of players leave, me included, is it's simply boring to play against. If nothing dies, then what's the point? Your character basically feels useless 90% of the time. And that's not even including immortality ults, which correlates to bad character design. There's too many characters with basic immortality ults that last way too long. The obvious solution for that is, and what I've heard a lot of people suggest and other people hate, is obviously role queue, which means basically you lock the meta on 2-2-2, 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 2 DPS. That solution, although it is an immediate solution, you will not have triple support, has different issues. The one that concerns only the players: what happens when your tank takes off meta tank just to have fun? What happens when a support takes like something like Atom or Mantis and doesn't do enough healing? In that case, if you're a tank or a DPS player, you can't really switch your role and go into the support category and take a better healer. You kinda have to start a game of begging them to switch or fighting with them, which in both cases it really doesn't work. But the second problem, which concerns the players and the developers of the game, is the waiting times. Right now, as it currently stands, you have 12 people that come into a game and they basically figure out what they want to play. When you introduce role queue, you will have 12 people but 3 queue times. And with the popularity of some of the roles, it's gonna take a very long time for you to find the game. You can see from Overwatch how that affected the game, where in higher ranks the queues could go for like 40 minutes at a time. So for example, a lot of people want to play DPS and not enough people want to play tank and support, which means waiting times for a DPS role will be a lot higher, double or triple the amount of other roles. And the other solution to that is just more balance patches and better balancing. Unfortunately, as of season 5 and the balance patch they had right now, it doesn't seem that they fixed anything, they just made it worse. Which kind of tells me they don't really know how to balance the game properly, and it's already been a year, so I don't think that would change. But anyways, I still remain hopeful. I wish this game to succeed. I had a lot of fun playing it. I still have some fun of playing it. I'm not gonna be like all downer about it. I think they can still change. I think they can still fix these issues. I think there's still time for a lot of players to come back. It's not like a situation with Overwatch where no matter what they do now, people are just not gonna come back to the game. It's a much simpler problem, and I think they can solve it. Will they do that? We don't know. But with that being said, let me know what your opinion about the state of Marvel Rivals is. Do you still play the game? And if you do, what do you usually play? And yeah, thank you for watching.